When I was 21 years old, I asked Karl Rove a challenging question, and at the time I was the only woman to do so. Let me explain. In 2004, I was a White House intern. I worked in the speechwriting department, and I got to do a lot of cool stuff. I worked in the West Wing a couple of times. I got to see a speech delivered in the Rose Garden. Amazing experience. One of the things that the intern class that year also got to see or hear from were the people in the administration. One of them was Karl Rove. He took about 40 to 45 minutes talking to the interns about everything going on in not only the world, but in that White House. And at the end of his talk, he invited us to ask him a couple of questions. A lot of the guys were asking him questions at first, and in my view, they were fairly softball questions. And I could sense that Karl Rove was also getting a little bored with this line of questioning, so after about the 7th or 8th time he got one of these questions, he stopped and said, "Is there going to be a woman who asks me a question?" And that's when I took the opportunity to ask mine. I asked him what he really thought about the media, and he gave me a very memorable answer. He also looped in Teresa Heinz Kerry at one point then, because it was an election year back then. This was the first time I was really intrigued and excited about the prospect of interviewing people. And since then, I've interviewed a lot of people. Everyone from grassroots activists to small business owners to fitness entrepreneurs to celebrities. And in my more than decade-long experience in journalism and news, I've loved talking to people the most. I've done a lot of cool things in a newsroom. I've covered the major stories of the past 10 plus years. I've been in newsrooms after elections. I've coordinated with reporters overseas, some of whom were in war zones. The best part, though, of course, is the human aspect. That's why I got into this business in the first place. And that's why I'm so excited about the opportunity to work for an organization like Foundr. I love entrepreneurship. I think it's the backbone of this country, as cheesy as that might sound. But I would love the opportunity to use my interviewing skills and my journalism skills to talk to these groundbreaking people who are bettering their communities and thinking outside the box. I love interviewing and I love podcasts, and my audio skills are at this point seasoned. So I think I'm a really good fit. And in this video, I'll show you just a few examples of what I've already done in my professional career. And I'll also pitch a couple of ideas I will have if I were able to become a show host for Foundr magazine. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Right, and I did want to sort of circle back into, how this would benefit companies. I'm assuming that, morale boosting or productivity or all of those non-tangibles that we're talking about in terms of workplace would increase with more parental leave.
That's a great point. So here's what's really fascinating. We have right now, what is it, almost a 0% unemployment, right? So right now we're in desperate need of every able body and mind in the workforce, and that's wonderful. We'd love that. And as a result, what is a great way for an employer to offer a solution? It's one of the things is meaningful parental leave. 64 million millennials are expected to become parents the next decade. And when millennials and Gen Zs, or little sisters and brothers following them, look at companies, one of the first things they look at is what are they doing to support me as a human in that workforce? And of course, if they're planning to have children, again, many of them are, they're now looking at this saying, okay, what kind of parental leave are you offering? And it's not just for mothers. Fathers are demanding this too. So we have a new generation of women and men who are saying, hey, I really want to be a great worker. But for me to be able to be most productive, I also need you to support me and my family. But again, that relies on the employer to offer that. And it doesn't look at overall what can we do as a country to solve this problem so every American citizen gets support they need to care for their families.
So, yeah, that actually brings me to my next question. What can our government do either at the state level or federal level? And also, is there a way to make this more of a bipartisan team effort within our government?
Well, if I had that magic wand, I'd be waving it. I think it is sadly, if we're not looking at it long term, if we're not looking at the financials that say it makes incredible sense to your earlier point, productivity, women's engagement in the workforce, and what that actually, the net effect of that is, we're not ever going to be able to come to agreement.
So that's just one really quick example of some of the countless other interviews I've done over the 10 plus years of my career. I've interviewed all sorts of people, as I mentioned before, grassroots activists like my friend Allison, who took it upon herself to start a homeless outreach program where she delivers supplies to homeless people in Midtown Manhattan. I've interviewed Carol Channing, who was wonderful and very, very sweet. I've interviewed Chuck Leavell, who's a renowned keyboardist and a music director for the Rolling Stones. And I've also interviewed fitness guru Kayla Itsinas. She started her personal training business, as many others do, pretty innocuously in Australia. And then somebody gave her the idea to put some of her client results on Instagram. And what happened after that was an explosion. Now she's world-renowned, and she's helped countless women hit their fitness goals, solely because her product went live on Instagram. So this brings me to my first story idea for Foundr magazine, based on the success of fitness entrepreneurs like Kayla Itsinas. Let me show you what I mean. So this is a spinning bike that is currently in one of our bedrooms. It's where I do my classes I take from my Peloton digital app. This app is great because I can do whatever class I want at whatever time. I'll cast it to this TV right here and just go for it. And I would love if I had the opportunity to interview CEO John Foley, because I would love to talk to him about how he came to this business model. He was a true entrepreneur in the sense that he thought outside the box about a common fitness problem, which is, I don't have enough time to work out.
Fox News Radio, I'm Joy Piazza. As holiday shoppers snatched up bargains this Black Friday.
I do not like to shop normally, but on Black Friday, it does make it a lot more interesting.
Some ran into protests.
Our streets, our streets!
Those protesters chanting, "Whose streets are streets," demonstrating against police brutality along Chicago's Michigan Avenue. Several protesters also arrested at a mall in suburban St. Louis. But overall, online shopping got a boost, with many folks using their smartphones. Shoppers spending at least $640 million online already today. Congress has a lot to get to when lawmakers return from Thanksgiving break.
Senate GOP leaders intend to vote on a tax reform package next week and then work out differences with a House-passed plan before Christmas. But between now and then, Congress must also approve a spending bill to avoid a government shutdown next month.
Fox's Jared Halpern, lawmakers could also fight over funding for the president's border wall. Fox News, we report, you decide.
So it's obviously not just the fitness community that's benefiting from social media entrepreneurship. A lot of people out there are becoming Instagram influencers or beauty influencers or YouTube stars, mainly because they have influence or they can sell products online with very little overhead. I've dabbled in this world myself. I do have a blog and an Instagram handle. My blog is called lifeofjoyce.com, and it's essentially a lifestyle blog. I talk about travel, food, fitness, and most recently home improvement, since my husband and I just bought a house. I haven't really made any money off of it yet, but I do know what it's like to put the work in to get to that point of monetization. So because of that, my second story idea for Foundr magazine would be to really dig deep into this community. What does it take to be an Instagram influencer, and what does it take to be a blogger? How do people do it? How much time do they budget? What is their net gain? What's their net loss? What's the risk? And where's the industry going? How long can this sustain itself?
27 nations are competing this year for the title at the Eurovision Song Contest. But this year, for the contest's 60th anniversary, Australia was invited as a wild card. Singer Guy Sebastian is considered a favorite. So is Sweden. Its performers have won 5 times, most notably in 1974. when ABBA won with the single Waterloo. An operatic entry from Italian trio Il Voldo is a favorite, and Russia another favorite with the song A Million Voices. But Russia has been a lightning rod for political tension at Eurovision. Its performers were booed last year over the unrest in Ukraine and the nation's stance on LGBT rights. Joy Piazza, Fox News Radio.
Well, there you have it. It's a small nutshell, but it's me in a nutshell. It's my experience as a journalist and an interviewer, my story ideas, and some of the things I enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I was able to get across the excitement I have for Foundr magazine and for the opportunity to potentially be a show host. It really is where I see my career going in the next phase, and I would be honored to be a part of the team. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you soon.